we rated the level of confidence as one area of the Disaster Recovery Index. And it was interesting to see how that broke down. And this is the level of confidence that a country has in their preparedness for a disaster and their comfort with their solution. Now, in this ranking, Germany and the Netherlands were by far ahead of the rest of the world in being highly prepared, highly organised, highly disciplined in their approach, and highly confident in their ability to deal with a disaster. But closing, I suppose, in that confidence stakes and closing on those leaders, if you will, was Singapore, Hong Kong and Japan. Those three were very similar, and they had a higher level of confidence than some of the others, like the Americans, the UK, the Australians, who had the lowest level of confidence in the world, which is extraordinary, really, to what we would normally associate with IT. So Singapore, Hong Kong and Japan were fairly high. They were behind the Germans and the Dutch significantly, but I think what it means is that for us in this region is that, you know, a number of companies do recognise that disaster recovery is important, but the SMBs are asking for a single solution and a simple solution and a one-click solution, in effect, to carry out these functions and not have to go and hire a whole group of people or a bunch of people to do this with complex multi-point solutions that can be really quite unnerving and for the unwary, especially in the SMB space. A lot of companies in Asia SMBs that is, don't deploy disaster recovery solutions. The ones that do generally have multiple approaches to that solution and complex environments that give pain to those companies because they are complex. So they tend not to embrace this disaster recovery approach. That's what we found in our surveys in the Disaster Recovery Index. One of the things that came out of the Disaster Recovery Index is that over 72% of companies in Asia said that they would prefer a single point solution to disaster recovery for the physical, for the virtual and for the cloud solution, covering disaster recovery and data protection. I think you're looking at things like mixed storage media, tape, disk, cloud, controlling the data growth, managing the mixed environments, different operating systems and different platforms. They're the three key areas, I would say. There are a number, but they're the three key areas. And of course, once you start having mixed environments and data growth that's growing this year, planned for SMB at over 70% growth in that market alone, requires careful planning, careful consideration, and these are three key areas that we see. I think the key thing there is to find a solution that has the functionality, has the ease of use, is a reasonable price point, but delivers to you what you need now and into the future. A single point solution. That's what I would be recommending to SMBs. Not necessarily, no. You don't. I think traditionally or historically you did have to have a fairly complex environment and have people that could manage that from the IT industry and hire your own IT team. I think one of the things that has become more pervasive in the last couple of years is better ease of use and a simpler approach and a simpler solution. So things like disk imaging or bare metal or full disaster recovery or data protection, all these solutions are all independent solutions for as a point solution. What we're finding now is that, especially from Acronis' perspective, we have a product which will cover all of that, so allowing you to back up to the physical, to the virtual, to the cloud, with disaster recovery and data protection. So what you're doing is you're actually covering yourself from the bare metal for the image recovery, the file and the system recovery. But we found that companies do send out their disaster recovery to the hosting provider, but in a lot of cases they tend to maintain that on site. That's probably the most common approach that we've seen, where they like to have control over what they're doing, and that's probably a nod also to the cloud, and a little bit of hesitancy in going to the cloud for a number of companies is the security piece. Yeah, I think it's something that's everybody's jumping onto at the moment. Everybody says that they have a cloud solution, and what that means to the companies out there must be quite confusing for everyone. I think from a disaster recovery perspective, what it does is adds another element. I don't think that everybody's going to go and run to the cloud and throw many, many petabytes or terabytes at the cloud at this moment in time. However, what we're recommending at Acronis is that they have that physical and do the physical backups. Make sure you do all of those. Virtualize where you can and when you can to reduce cost and environmental impact and the size and complexity. And at the same time, have a nod towards the cloud. Send somebody to the cloud, certain files or certain pieces of data, and try it out. Give it a try, because in 3 or 4 years' time, it will be more pervasive than that. And there can be significant cost reductions.